Hey guys, F1 26 here, and welcome back to F1 League Season 4, Round 15 today, and we are here at Singapore. And after yesterday's upload of Monza and Dizzy's interesting antics at the final corner, he decided to leave the league after Monza due to the fact that he was not happy with some of the decisions that the stewards had made. It wasn't anything to do with him getting a penalty because he agreed with that. It was some other stewarding decisions that he didn't agree with. So this means there's now a huge championship fight between myself, Gaston Zinka, Sam and Casey Legend, who's a bit further back. So this huge championship fight has now opened up for the first time really ever in the league. There's been more than two people involved in the championship fight, so I need to make sure I get a good result here in Singapore. So I've done quite a bit of sweat, and which is needed obviously because we are running the simulation damage, which is extremely unforgiving around a street circuit like Singapore. But as you can see now, we're on our quali lap as we're coming through the new section of the track for this game, even though it was implemented in 2015 in real life F1. Codemasters couldn't be asked to put it in the 2015 game. So yep, going through that section there as we now head down towards the second sector split. We're going purple as we come into this hairpin, down to first gear, straight back up to second, running a bit wide on the exit there, but I think no time really gained or lost there. Luckily, as we now come through this difficult chicane, we possibly could have taken a bit more curb there as we do a massive drift out the exit. That will certainly have lost us time. Coming under the grandstands now, through this right-hander and into the final chicane before the fast final two corners. Taking the curbs quite nicely there, running wide on the exit, very close to the wall. CK the Flying Scot goes provisional pole. We're coming through the final corner, fourth gear up to fifth, round turn 23 and across the line to take provisional pole, but that was not a particularly good lap at all. And yeah, I can't show the quali results because my camera work is one, crap, and two, because there was a mass disconnection. And I can't show you one shot qualifying either because the camera quality was awful. So yep, we've done one shot qualifying after the mass disconnection, and we are now starting from scratch. But unfortunately, in one shot qualifying, because I'm a bottler, I corner cut and got invalidated. So I may or may not now be last on the grid. So this makes it a bit more difficult than us because we were originally third on the grid. But yeah, we're now 16th and last due to being a cheat. And yeah, so I could have started on the softs and gone for the one stop, but I wanted to have comparable pace with the whole field throughout the races. There's been some carnage already with people getting kicked off the formation lap. Casey the Legend was having some wheel issues at the moment, so hence why he is also at the back. And I think Lion may have crashed or corner cut in qualifying as well. But yeah, we're starting last. It looks like quite a few people are going for the soft tyres, the one-stop strategy. I'm going for the super softs because I think you can do a one-stop from starting on the super softs as well. So now coming into the hairpin, and we've hit line, so we're going to be kicked off the formation lap. And yep, so that was my mistake. It was partly due to lack of concentration after completely bottling the one-shot qualifying, but luckily being kicked out of the formation lap does give us the chance to look at what tyres everyone's going on. Obviously everyone who's qualified inside the top 10 will be forced on whatever tyres they're qualified on. So as you can see there, Warden on the super softs, and then everyone outside the top 10 are mixed of softs and super softs. So yeah, with the softs, you can definitely do a one-stop. Starting on the super softs, you might be able to. So you have to have a look and see what we can do from the super soft start. As Grumpy Line has sent me a message there, so he's clearly not happy. I've hit him, and yeah, as you can see, he's not particularly happy. But yeah, sorry to Line if you are watching this a few months down the line. But yeah, we have 5 lights now, and it's lights out, and away we go. Lion's got a lag start, and we're away now. Casey Legends has still got it on pause because his wheel is not quite working yet. As we head down towards turn 1 now, trying to keep it clean. There's contact, Gaston Zinker's round, there's a Haas round, there's a Toro Rosso and a Ferrari there. We've had to go off the track to avoid it, and we've got 2 illegal overtakes, so we have to give those places back to avoid a penalty, even though, to be honest, it shouldn't really have been a legal overtake. I was just avoiding a massive crash. And we've given the places back, but now we've hit Sam, and now Tucson's hitting us, so it's all kicking off. Tucson's in the Red Bull for some reason when he should be in the Force India. But yeah, crucially, we are ahead of one of our championship rivals, Sinan, and Casey Legends is actually just disconnected there. So we're going to try and go around the outside of Hamilton Fan, but that's not worked. But Sam's got a poor exit, so we're going to try and go around the outside of him now. This could be an aggressive move around the outside this right hand, and he's put us in the wall, and we've lost our whole front wing. Disaster here on lap 1. Sinan gets through unaffected, but we have lost our whole front wing. and that is the worst thing that possibly could have happened there. Trying a bit of an optimistic move around the outside of the stand, but he just shut the door on us, to be honest, and he did receive some penalty points for that. Noodles had an issue there, and he's going slowly through the middle sector, and we've got CK also going slowly with a puncture, I believe, as we now head into the hairpin. Kamunda, unfortunately, also has damage, and as he's my teammate for this race, he's going to be clocking up the pit box when I enter the pit lane, as we can see now, slowing down, coming into the pit lane, and we may have touched down there, I'm not sure. Well, teammate is in the pits as we see Kamunda, and yeah, we do get a warning for that. But here I'm trying to invite Casey Legend back to the session, but as you can see, invite party to game was not working, as we're now heading down the pit lane now for what will be the longest pit stop EU, as we're pulling into the back of the, well, behind Kamunda whilst we're waiting for him to be released, which any moment now, please, Haas boys. Still waiting, and now he's released, so let's have a look. Coming in for my pit stop, how long is it going to be? I suspect it'll be about 12 seconds. Let's have a look as we're coming in now. How many seconds they're putting on the front wing, and yeah, about 11.8 if I can read the tiny writing on my screen there. So yeah, that's not ideal, but we are ahead of CK, so we're not last, and obviously, as mentioned, this is going to be a race of attrition due to the simulation damage, so if we don't crash, we have a chance of some solid points still, maybe top 5 if we're very lucky. Obviously, unfortunately, after Monza, there were some issues with the safety car, so it was turned off, as we're now down to 15 runners as Noodles out the race. So there's no chance of there being a safety car in this race, but if we have the pace / a lot of people crash out, like Noodle has already done, as we're already up to 14th, which is effectively 13th due to Casey's AI car. And now, later on in the lap, Hamilton Fan has retired, so that'll be another free place for us when we catch up to where he is, which we're about to do so now, and now up into P13. So it's going reasonably well so far. If we just keep it out of the wall, I'm sure we'll gain quite a lot of positions as we now come around the final corner at the end of lap 3, setting a personal best, obviously, and Kamunda's in the pit lane. CK sets the fastest lap of the race on a set of Ultra Softs. So yeah, lap 4 now, and not sure what's going on here. Someone else has probably retired from the race, but we now have CK up behind us. I think Vapid Coot retired from the race, actually. And we've got CK up behind us there as we now skip to the end of the second sector. CK has, of course, caught us on his Ultra Softs, and he'll be looking to get past. But we've also caught out to Stealth Aquas, who hasn't pitted yet. So his pace is not the greatest, but he's kept out the wall, so at the end of the race he should be getting points, as we are now up into the points because of 2 reasons. 1, CK's crash, and 2, LMR Hybrid pitted, which I skipped out on the footage because it wasn't really relevant, or mainly because I'm crap at editing. But yeah, we're coming up behind Aquas now. CK is obviously the fastest of all of us on the Ultra Softs, as we're looking to pass him now into turn 1 with the DRS. But unfortunately, our exit out of the final corner was quite poor. We've got CK having a look, but we might go for the dive anyway. Yeah, we're going to go up the inside, and he shut the door there. We had to jump over the curb, and we were very lucky that wasn't a massive crash, which CK could have got involved in as well. And CK trying to switch back us off turn 3 here, and we should have that covered. But as you can see, Aquas has got away a little bit. CK looks up the inside, but we leave him room and we hold it around the outside. So yeah, not ideal there. We're lucky that we didn't concede any damage, which would be disastrous, quite frankly. But yeah, we need to pass Aquas as quickly as possible, and hopefully he can have a bit of a battle with CK, so we don't have to deal with him either. But obviously, in a few laps, CK's tyres will start to go off because he's put on Ultra Softs, as well as having started on the Ultra Softs. So we're flying up the inside of Aquas into the left-hander. But yeah, CK started on the Ultra Softs, so his tyre wear will be worse than mine on all sets of tyres, but Aquas managed to hold that, and now we've hit him, and we have got damage now, but it's reasonably minor damage, so I think we should be able to carry on, as I don't think it will affect us too much now coming into the hairpin, and we will try and have a look into the right-hander at the exit, at the end of this straight. We're getting in the slipstream now. Rich Mix, can we chuck it up the inside? I think we will be able to. We've committed up the inside, and there's contact, he's turned in us, and he's spun us round, and wow. So much wow. Luckily we haven't got any more damage, but we've lost a good heap of time there. But only 2 laps later we appear to have caught back up to him once again. CK has got past him, and we now have to try and pass him again at some point, as we're heading to the middle sector once again towards the place where we previously crashed. I think Aquas did receive a penalty for that. I can't remember, obviously, considering this race was a long time ago, back in December. But yeah. Anyway, coming towards the end of the straight now, Aquas has run a bit deep on the brakes there, very deep actually, and we'll just claim that position nicely, and we're back up into the points. So, Could be a lot worse, but obviously that collision with Aquas has set us back quite a bit. CK's in the pits as his Ultra Soft stint has come to an end, and we're up into P9 now. What we're aiming to do is drag these soft tyres out so we can go super soft to the end of the race, as now someone else has retired from the race as we're down to 11 runners, and it's actually Sam. So that is unbelievable scenes there, as Sam, on the championship rivals, usually one of the most reliable people for not crashing, has actually crashed there, and there you can see his car wrecked on the straight up towards the bit under the crowd, and we're up into P8 now. As we now skip ahead onto lap number 13, looking at the mini-map, there's a crash under the tunnel, and that was in fact Warden who was in the lead, attempting the one-stop, and he has crashed out of this Grand Prix now. We're now down to 10 runners, and that will be another free position for us in a minute or so when we catch up to him, where he was like nearly a minute up the road. But yep, when we catch up to him, we'll gain another position up into P7, which we should show now, coming towards the tunnel. And yet we are now up into P7. Next up is Casey Legends AI, who is currently chilling in 6th place. There we go, we've caught him up on lap 14 now, and we should be able to go past him quite easily. Having quite a lonely race after obviously lap 1 and then the collision with Aquas. We haven't actually seen another proper car, so we're just trying to put in the consistent lap times. Obviously not ideal with the damaged front wing, and keep it out the walls, and hopefully a good result should come our way, because as you can see we're already up into P6 as we go through Casey's car there, and we're only at half distance. So if there's a few more retirements, we might have a chance as we now head into the pit lane at the end of lap 18 for a set of super soft tyres to take us to the end of the race. We're actually trying to undercut Tanners, who is ahead of us at the moment. He's also ahead of Sinan because Sinan has pit, but Sinan is quite far ahead of us, so we're going to be a pretty massive undercut if we can pull it off. But with the fresh super soft tyres and a fixed front wing, I think our pace should be pretty good. Maybe one of the fastest in the field, along with the Silent Mole, who's currently absolutely dominating this race after Warden's retirement. So coming into the pit lane now, putting on a new front wing and a fresh set of super soft tyres. Not again an ideal stop due to that, but yeah, we're going to come out the pits in P7 because CK has put on a set of softs and is out of sync. He needs to pit once more before the end of the race for what I assume will be super softs or possibly ultra softs. We'll find out soon. But now, skipping on to later in the lap, straight out of the pits, we've cut the corner due to, well, I guess not having the experience of the fresh tyres and having a good wing. So we've got a penalty there, first penalty of the race, as we now excuse me, head on to lap 21, and Tanners has pit, and we have perfected the undercut on him, and we're up into P number 6, and we've done him around the outside of turn 3 there on the fresh tyres. That's worked perfectly for us, that undercut, and now at the end of that lap, CK's in the pits for what I presume is a set of super softs, and we're up into P5. So we have pulled a decent strategy here, which is going to save us from potential embarrassment. And if there's a couple more crashes ahead of us, which I doubt, to be honest, because the people ahead of us have survived this far, so I expect they'll get to the end of the race. But skipping on to lap 22 as we head through this section now, and we're up into P4 because Super Joshi has in fact crashed, and we are now only one position away from a podium, which is currently being occupied by Grand Prix Line. Skipping on to lap 26, Tanners has now crashed, and he is also out of the race, so we're now down to 6 runners left in the race. As now skipping on to lap 27, CK is out of the race. He was going for a fastest lap and he has crashed, which means I'm now the second last actual runner because Casey Legends AI doesn't count. And with Stealth Equiz 3 laps down, I've decided at the end of lap 29 just to come into the pits for a set of ultra soft tyres for a bit of bounce to try and set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, which I wouldn't even be surprised if I absolutely smashed it out of the park, to be honest, considering everyone's been on reasonably long stints. So yeah, I wasn't catching line enough, so it's time to put on a set of ultra soft tyres and have some fun, which would be quite embarrassing, to be honest, if I crashed. So we'll try to avoid that. So exiting the pit lane now. We'll have only one attempt at the fastest lap because I was waiting as long as possible to see if something happened to Lion, which it doesn't appear to have happened to him. So we've come in at the end of lap 29, the last possible time, and now coming towards the end of lap 30 to start our fastest lap of the race. Coming across the line now, we've got enough rich mix saved up, coming down towards turn 1, using all the track now, nailing the apex, running it out wide through turn 2, down to first gear, back up to second, try and get the traction as we straighten the car out as we head through the kink that is turn 4 towards turn 5, breaking down into third gear, using all the track on entry and exit as we're getting down the straight. Obviously no DRS because we're nowhere near anyone, coming through the kink that is turn 6 as we break down towards the end of the first sector split. It's going to be a purple sector 1, obviously, as we nail the apex to turn 7 there. Luke has won the race. Congrats to him. Absolutely dominant drive. Flawless. And he's taken his first win of the season. Now coming through this left-hander here, we missed apex slightly, but it's still reasonably decent as we head towards the old Singapore sling. Now down into third gear. Can we nail the apex? Yes, we can. Heading into this new chicane for this year. Second gear, flipping the apex nicely, ride the curb on the exit there. We probably could have ridden that a bit more over the Anderson Bridge towards the hairpin now. Down into first gear, get the car rotating, floor the power on the exit as we head down towards the second sector split. I suspect it'll be a purple middle sector as well, and indeed it is, heading towards the final few corners now. The technical part of the track, a bit of oversteer on the exit of the right-hander there as we head into the first chicane in this last sector. Second gear there, clipping the apex. Can we ride this curve nicely? Yes, we can. Perfect. The fireworks are going off. We better not let that distract us as we head under the bridge now, nailing that curve nicely, swing it right for this right-hander as we head towards the chicane now. The penultimate few corners now, riding that curve nicely, run it wide on the exit, bit of oversteer as we head towards the final corner, and 2 corners left, nailing the apex of the first one. The second one doesn't really count as a corner as we head across the line. Fastest lap of the race, P4, awful race, but yeah, 12 points in the bag, which means we are now, due to Sam's DNF, the de facto championship leader, which is lovely to see. The full results on screen there, as you can see, quali results on the left. CK actually managed to get pole ahead of Luke and myself, but on the right there you can see the Silent Mole took the win by over 30 seconds from Sinan, and Grumpy Lion in third. I was in fourth with, of course, the first lap. I did get another penalty to add to my first one at some point, but I can't remember when that was when editing. So yeah, Stealth Aquas came home in 5th as the last finisher, but GG to him. He kept it on the road where others didn't and was able to claim 10 points here. I got the fastest lap with a 1:42.4, I believe. And yeah, that was it. Obviously, as you can see, a race of attrition, 16 starters, only 5 finishes there. And obviously Sam and Casey being the key DNF for the championship. Good result for Sinan in his championship, and average result for me. But it does mean that I do take the effective lead of the championship. But yeah, that's been all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this interesting race. There wasn't really much action, unfortunately, due to the turn 1 lap 1 incident rather. But yeah, I'm sure we'll have a much better race next time out in Malaysia. So hope you enjoyed this one today, guys. Thanks for watching once again. Goodbye.